Hello and welcome to today's video. If you've been watching my channel long enough, you'll know there's a few sort of colour families that I tend to lean towards in terms of my ink use. You know, you might see a lot of sort of earthy, darker greens like Grünkohl from Octopus Fluids and Fountain Fader, or Diamine 160th Anniversary Canal Side. You might see some really lovely darker blues like Diamine Oxford Blue, and a recent one is Kobe No. 7 Kaikyo Blue. Beautiful colours. I love my tealy greens like Tranquility from Robert Oster or Diamine's Aurora Borealis. And of course, I love my violety purples, Cross Violet and Ackerman Simplicity's Violette here, being big players in my constant sort of rotation. But no ink colour family jumps out to me more than blue blacks. And Diamine 1864 blue black, this one right here, this is like my go-to gold standard. I love how dark it is. I love that it leans on the grayer, purpley sort of end. But I use a whole lot of sort of everyday blue blacks. Monteverde blue black on the grey end, Hongdian blue black on a sort of a tealy sort of end, Diamine regular blue black on the bluer end. Then we've got Private Reserve Infinity blue black, which I've been using a lot recently, Van Diemen's Essential blue black, which is a fairly recent addition also, and Colorverse blue black, which I think is a fantastic ink. But today's video, what I wanted to do, I'm going to put a couple of these aside as sort of references, but what I wanted to do today was talk about what I call old school blue blacks. So I've selected a random 10 of these old school blue blacks from my ink collection. Now, I could have added more to this. I could have used, like Aurora blue black and things like that. But what I've done is I've chosen sort of 10 inks from brands that are known for their ink, but also sort of known for their pens. These are the standard blue blacks from their lineup. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to talk through each of these and put those little reference cards just to the side there, and we're going to look at them on colouring cards. So I have bottles of all of these in my collection. These are inks I have used that I enjoy and that, hold a place in the repertoire, if you will, for a reason. So starting at the very top here, we've got Sailor Gentle Blue Black. That's this here. So this is on the grayer end of blue black, but to me it still leans a little on the sort of bluer end. If we look at it in comparison to like that 1864 blue black, it's a little lighter, it's grey, but it's sort of a little bit more on the blue side. It performs beautifully though, really. Like, I think this is one of the best performing of the lot. It's a solid performer. It performs well on lower end paper, and it's fairly readily available, which is really great. Next, we have Parker Quink Blue Black, and if we talk about readily available, this ink is probably one of the most available of them all. Like, you can buy this at just about any stationery or office supply store, particularly Officeworks here in Australia. But this one leans super, super blue. Like, you can just see how light that ink is. And none of these are the iron gall inks. These aren't the ones that sort of dry darker. These aren't water resistant inks, anything like that. These are just sort of standard blue black sort of inks that you buy from most stationery stores. Lamy Blue Black, nice. I think this has got a really nice colour to it, but it is sort of, once again, on the lighter side. It sort of has more in common with Sailor Gentle Blue Black. It's got some sort of interesting red sheen on it, but also sort of like a bluer grey sort of tone. Then we get Pilot Blue Black, another of these blue ones. I will show all these together sort of on the colouring cards at the end here. But this is a lovely, once again, really, really well-performing ink, also super affordable. I think it's about $10 for the small bottle that you can get. But it's kind of like one of those inks that if you ask someone just about sort of, a lot of people in the fountain pen world, what one ink they would, if they needed to have just one ink, this is one of those ones that would sort of come up quite regularly. Cross Blue Black. I love this ink. This is Cross Blue Black and Cross Violet are two of my favorite inks that I've only ever had samples of until within the last year when I bought bottles, and I'm really glad I did. I think that it shades really nicely. Once again, that sheen is great. The dark undertone of it you know, it really leans into that beautiful, rich, dark blue-black feel, which I really personally enjoy. Waterman Mysterious Blue. This is their version of a blue-black. It's quite light, you know, it's not on the darker side at all, but it performs just so well. It cleans well, it's safe, all that kind of stuff. Like, there's a reason Waterman inks are held up and, you know, by fountain pen users for vintage pens and all those kinds of things. It's just an ink that performs well, cleans well, doesn't do any damage, all that kind of stuff. Pelikan 4001 Blue Black, not my favourite. I quite like the colour, but for me it's just a little on the dry side. It looks good on the page, but the actual writing with it, not my personal favourite. Then we get Montblanc Midnight Blue. This is nice and rich and dark. In the right pen, this will read as black. In other pens, it will read as a dark blue, but it's beautiful. I think it's got a nice sort of grey teal undertone to it, which I personally really enjoy. Actually, if you look at it here on the Rhodia page, like I've written with all of these on the Rhodia here, and you can see them all. You can see sort of how the colours vary from brand to brand, and how there's not like a standard, you know, like blue black. I suppose it's the same with any color. You say red and you get a big variance of what is red. You know, things like royal blue, that's probably something that you can say lean closer into a more finite sort of area, but even then you're going to have ones that lean on the purple side, ones that, you know, there's a big variance here, and you can see in the blue blacks, you know, from Mysterious Blue and Parker Quink Blue being on the lighter side through to things like Montblanc and Cross being, you know, heavy and rich on the darker side. The next one is sort of the outlier of these, and this is Jinhao Blue Black, and which is a nice color. The performance is a little bit more aggressive. You can't use this on lower end paper, like it just doesn't perform well. Nice color, not on the darker side necessarily, but certainly rich. It's a recent addition to my collection, and I actually enjoy using it. I've been using it in my Jinhao X450, which I've been retrialing for another video I want to make next year. And it's, you know, but it's a nice ink. It performs okay on decent quality paper. And then we get Shaeffer Blue Black, and this one is interesting because this one almost leans on the green end. You can see here, like it's like a greeny grey versus sort of like the darker blues and things of some of these other blue blacks, but it is really quite nice. So this is those 10 inks once again, and seeing them on the colouring cards here all together, you can absolutely see that there's a range of what is blue black. Now there's a lot of these I haven't reviewed, and there are some that I would like to review coming up, but just as a general overview of what colour you can expect when you say a blue black, and these are pretty standard available blue blacks. They're not necessarily my favorite, but as I said, these are like the old school ones that, you know, if you go into an office supply store or your basic pen shop, chances are one or two of these at least will be there, like be it Waterman or Parker or even the Lamy blue black, Pelikan, you know. There's a range of them here, you know, while that beautiful 1864 blue black from Diamines will always, well, at the moment so far, always be my favorite and my go-to blue black ink. I really enjoy the variation that is available under this color world, but I really enjoy Waterman Mysterious Blue. I enjoy the color of the Midnight Blue from Montblanc, and the Sailor, of course, is wonderful, but Cross Blue Black is probably the closest of this lot to being in steady rotation for me. So this was my very sort of brief overview of the blue black inks that I use and you know, have in my collection, or not even close to what I have in my collection. I've got dozens of blue blacks. I love this color family, but those sort of like standard stationery store ones and a couple of little outliers on that, this is an interesting selection. So thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, hit the notifications button, all that kind of stuff. If you've got products you think I should be looking at, or if there is a way you would like to support the channel, I would really love to hear from you. It's your support that makes these videos possible. So in the meantime, enjoy your inks, enjoy writing, and I'll talk to you soon.